So this hat has some soul. It's falling apart at the edges, and it's from a real cowboy, my grandfather. I took it off his hands when he was going to throw it away, just because there's too much memory in this thing to just toss it. So I keep it on hand. I was showing it off to a friend of mine today, and it reminded me of this story my grandfather told me. My grandfather is a real cowboy. Back in his day, he was riding horses and making trouble with the best of them. And one time he was working as a cattle hand. They were bringing down the cows from the mountains, as they do, and they were finding several of the cattle had their ears ripped off. And you see, most predatory animals, if they're going after your livestock, they're not just going to rip the ears off or maim them. They'll eat them. And so he's noticing multiple of these cattle have had their ears ripped off, and an infection has ensued, and there's even like maggots coming out of their ears. It's horrifying, and this has caused these cows to go mad, to stop eating. There's no real recovery from this, and if you're a farmer or a rancher, that's a big deal. My grandfather wasn't going to just let this lie, so he goes ahead and starts tracking down whatever critters have been tearing the ears off of these cows. And it leads him to this house that my grandfather describes as having mirrors on the ceiling. And on the front porch are 2 dogs. This is going to be your little warning. If you don't want to hear something bad happening to dogs, close this right now. I am a dog lover. This horrifies me. But this is how the story goes. These 2 dogs were going up in the mountains, and they were tearing the ears off of these cows. And the way my grandfather saw it, if your pet is hurting livestock, it doesn't have a right to live. So on the front step of this pimp's house, he shoots the 2 dogs, and he hops off his horse, takes out his knife, and he cuts their ears off, and he pins them to his vest. Mind you, when he was telling me this story, I was probably 12 years old, and he points over to his corral, and the dog's ears are pinned above the gate of the corral. He still had them years and years later. So to my grandfather, the issue was handled. He has taken care of what was causing the cows to get their ears ripped off, and he's done. However, as you can imagine, this pimp wasn't too happy that his 2 dogs got shot. And so he figures out who did it, my grandpa, and he sends somebody along the way to go inform my grandpa that he's none too happy about it and that he needs to pay him for killing his dogs. And my grandfather's like, oh, no. Your dogs caused a lot of damage to our property and actually have made it so a number of our cattle can't be sold. So whatever I owed you for the dogs, you owe us much more and some for all these cattle we can't sell. So I would like you to pay us. At the sound of that, the guy backs off. He's like, oh, no, we're good. My grandfather's like, no, we're not good. You need to pay us for these cattle. And so he's like, okay, well, you go talk to my insurance agent. He will take care of you. So my grandfather goes into town, goes into the insurance office, and he's like, all right, we've got this many cattle that have been damaged and are not sellable that you need to reimburse us for. Well, this insurance agent's like, all right, I'll get this handled, and sends my grandfather on his way. Well, 1 week passes and 2, and they're not seeing a penny. So my grandfather stops by again and is like, what's going on? And the guy's like, oh, we'll get it to you. And this happens a few times, and my grandfather gets fed up. So he takes his buddy, and they never went around with any less than 3 guns each, only one of which would be visible. And my grandfather loads up one of these mad cows into the trailer, and they drive to town. And they drive up in front of this insurance office and hop on out. And my grandfather's buddy stands at the door. My grandfather walks in, seats himself in front of the man he's been working with, the insurance agent. And is like, so where's the compensation for the lost cattle? And he's like, oh, we'll get that to you eventually. There's just, some paperwork we got to run through. Like, things are just going a little slow. My grandfather's like, all right, well, if you can't supply us with the money for these cattle, we loaded up one of them so you can get a nice, real close look at them. We will back it up and we will set it free in this office if you're not going to be paying us for all of the money lost on these cattle. And for some reason, that insurance agent suddenly had the money to give to my grandpa. So my grandpa took the money, they unhitched the trailer, and they left it there. They didn't release the cow into the office, but they did leave it there for them to deal with and went on their merry way. So I don't know how much that story has been emphasized, but when I saw the dog ears, I was fairly convinced it's probably more true than less. So yeah, that's the story of the owner of this hat. Hope you enjoyed.